The first thing to remember in this style of story is that size is relative. So today's story really starts over here with Epiphany, or Twelfth Night. All of our candles are lit, including the Christ candle. And our story today really concentrates on the Far East. Now, on this side of our story, we have three kings: Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. And what we want to notice right now is that size doesn't matter. So their camels might be a little different sized, and they might have a little trouble getting up on those camels, but you have to make it work in your imagination. Also, their faces are empty. We know from accounts from long ago that these three men represented all the races of mankind. So somehow their faces are going to be a little bit different. But again, you have to imagine that. And finally, we bring each story to us with a song. Bible, Bible, tell your story, speak to us about God's glory. There's so much we need to know. Tell us how God loves us so. And before we can get to their part of the story, we have to start it back over here, because the story begins with a young girl named Mary. Possibly Mary was as young as 14 when an angel of God came to visit her to tell her that she was going to have that most special son that all of the world had been waiting for. For a long time, the prophets had foretold that there would be a special son, a son of God, a prince of peace who would bring God's kingdom to the world. And the angel told Mary that she would be the mother of this very special child. Mary was not alone in life. She was engaged to a young man named Joseph. They were engaged to be married. And one night, the angel came to Joseph and told him about Mary's very, very special baby. The whole world waited. No one knew when this child would appear, but it seemed like signs were coming together in the universe that seemed to announce that the coming of this child was getting close. One sign that had appeared low in the sky was a star, but it was not an ordinary star. It was the brightest star that anyone had ever seen in the sky. Our wise men had been waiting for a sign such as this magnificent star. And when they saw it, they put everything aside. They left their lives behind, and they started traveling toward that star. Meanwhile, Mary was getting close to her time to give birth to the baby, but Joseph had been called to leave his town of Nazareth and go to Bethlehem to put his name on the rolls. Mary was so pregnant. Mary was also so young. And Mary didn't know when her baby would come, and only Mary and Joseph knew about this wonderful angel's message that theirs would be the very special child. So Mary decided to go with Joseph, even though it would be a very hard journey for her. And they traveled to Bethlehem with the help of their donkey. When they got very, very tired, they would rest, and Mary would ride the donkey for a short while. But she was essentially, like all very pregnant women, very uncomfortable for the whole trip, and so it took them a very, very long time. And when they finally got to Bethlehem, the little town was full. They were the last ones to get there that night, and all the rooms were full. All the inns that Joseph knew about where they might have stayed were filled with people, filled to the rafters. Every room, space on the floor, everything taken. They tried inn after inn trying to get a room, and finally one innkeeper took great, especially seeing how very tired Mary was, and said, "Well, you could stay out in the stable where the animals are. At least it will be clean." And so they did, and relieved they were to find some place to stay. Maybe a stable. This is so long ago, we're not sure. Possibly it was a cave carved out of the hillside where people put their animals for the night. But the donkey was taken care of and joined the other animals in the stable. And sure enough, this is the night that Mary had her baby. What a night. This night is Christmas Eve. Mary's going to have her baby, and there are angels again. Angels announcing now to everyone this special baby. Angels appearing to shepherds who live very far away, who were told to come to Bethlehem to see the baby. And so they did. Probably bringing their sheep, and certainly bringing their staffs to help with the sheep. Angels everywhere, singing, and glorious streams of light coming down from heaven over this beautiful, beautiful stable. And the star that our three wise men had been following had been traveling, and they followed it, traveling and traveling. First they got to the land of Herod, and because they were kingly folk, it was only polite to step in and say, "Hello, Herod," and to tell him that they were looking for this baby. Well, Herod was looking for this baby too, because he wanted to be the only Prince of Peace. Herod got very angry in his palace over this whole business and said, "Well, kings, be sure and stop back by after you find the baby and tell me where he is." Now we know Herod had some bad plans for that baby, and the kings didn't yet, but they will. And they arrived at our stable. 3 kings with magnificent gifts, gifts of fabulous value, gold and frankincense and myrrh. They had with them some of the most valuable things you could have. They brought to this little baby, just a humble baby. They were expecting a big princely deal. And instead, this little tiny baby surrounded by animals in a manger of all places. And when they got there, they noticed that the star had stopped. That star that had traveled stopped directly over the stable, so they knew that they were in the right place. They bowed down to this wonderful baby, and nobody knows how long it really took them to get there. How long ago had they started? Was it only the 12 days of Christmas that they traveled to get here on Epiphany, January 6th? Or had they taken off as long as 2 years before, traveling to get here in time for the Holy Birth? We don't know. But this is a night of nights. Everyone's here. Our baby, young Mary, our loving mother, Joseph, representing all parents and their hopes for their children. The shepherds, the most lowly of people, the most lowly of workers, and kings, the most exalted on the planet. Whoa, the greatest people, and angels. Whoa, everyone's here. Even the minerals of the gold and the living things, the saps, the frankincense and the myrrh, sap from trees, very special sap and with medicinal qualities that would make them such precious gifts. And from the cosmos itself, a star. Maybe 3 planets aligned perfectly, but if so, for the only time, a star over this stable on this night. Whoa, it is a holy night indeed. And when the kings get here, everything is made clear. This is the prince we've been waiting for. This is the little baby who will bring God's kingdom to the earth. It's kind of a neon Noel. All the signs are here. And why? Why did God do this? Was this just a snap through the universe on a Friday night looking for something to do? Whammo, make a star and a baby? No. This took very careful planning to get every element of the cosmos here to celebrate the birth of this child. This child's message will be love. Later on, he will tell us to love God with our whole hearts. And next, he will tell us to love our neighbors as ourselves. But this night, God is telling us that his love, all the love of the universe, is being brought to bear to show us this child. This is the night when God shows us his incredible love for us. Bible, Bible, tell your story, speak to us about God's glory. There's so much we need to know. Tell us how God loves us so.